All right, so I'm actually, hello. I'm actually gonna do a story reel that I'm redoing one from before that I thought I thought recorded fine, but it didn't. So I'm actually driving. That's why, some of them are gonna sound more perfect than others, and that's the point. I'm not aiming here to make it sound perfect all the time. Just because life's not perfect all the time, It ain't, like it's gonna be raw and uncut. But basically, this is about your perception and the way you handle things. And based off your own experiences in your life, you should take a look at how you handled things in the past. I'm gonna share some of my stories so you can see how I handled certain things correctly and incorrectly, and even then, whether good or bad luck was involved, things turned out the way they did. And now all I can do is look back and just perceive it the way I want to, whether that was good or bad. So let's start off with, maybe this is gonna be a little bit different. I'm gonna, instead of doing like one storyline, I'm gonna compile maybe a couple different stories and go off on my many segues that I do. But so let's take it, but let's go into health for a little bit. So I dealt with something called MRSA. MRSA is an antibiotic-resistant bacterial infection, staph infection, that grows on your skin, right? At the time, I didn't know what was going on. I'm a guy, like, whatever, let me wait a month. It ain't nothing. Let me, it's gonna go away, and like I had like, it would go away. Like, even one of them came on my forehead, and I cut it open myself with a blade. I cut it open myself with a blade. And that was like the second one I got. So I'm like, oh, it's nothing. It's just a pimple. Then it started just to get bigger, like these golf ball size. This bacteria is smart, guys. Like, they would get to the size of a golf ball, to the point where they need to be drained. You drain them. You go to the hospital. You go to a clinic. You get the incision drained. They drain the pus out. They squeeze it. But first they put anesthesia because it hurts. Like, imagine, those pimples that come out on your skin or on your forehead sometimes, and they like hurt. Sometimes you don't even see the entire pimple. They're like just a ball, and they hurt. Guys, it's like 15 times worse. I'm not even exaggerating. Maybe 10, because I could take pain at this point. My pain tolerance is higher, but it hurt. Depending on where you get them, I had like 7 of them spread out in different parts of my body, and in undesirable locations too. One on my armpit, one on my side, one on my ass cheek or butt cheek. I'm gonna be proper. One on my ass cheek, so yeah, I had to wear a pillow while driving. Like, it was inconvenient, waste of time, waste of money, very painful. Now, is that bad luck? I mean, could have been like, why did this happen? This and this, this and that, and sometimes I did have those thoughts, and I was in and out the hospital. Sometimes they would put anesthesia, or you know what? There was like 2 times where I did it with, one of them was halfway anesthesia, which means I had felt it, and one of them didn't even do it. He's like, oh, I forgot to put it. And I'm like, oh, no wonder. I had asked him after he did the whole drain. I'm like, did you put anesthesia? Because I felt this whole thing, man. And I was just biting my hand, because it was just cutting me open. And then he's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah, no wonder, man. Because it was already like, this is the 5th time I did it. So you wouldn't really feel everything, But point is, like, I went through this situation where it was bad. These things were bad, and like, you would have to put what is it called? Like a white gauze, like a white pad over it, and then take it off when you shower, and like, took all these antibiotics, which also made my health even worse, not knowing at the time. But basically, I had to figure it out, guys. I had to, I spent, aside from hospital hospital visits and all those antibiotics, like, I bought my own. I read, and I just bought all these supplements. I started testing all these different things, and if like again, I felt like, how did I get this? Why did I get this? Sometimes that mentality, almost like that victim mentality, comes in, like, why this, why me, right? But at the same time, it's like proactive, like, fuck, I gotta figure this shit out, because I have to get rid of it. It just comes, and then it just like, I didn't stop business, I didn't stop what I was doing, but it just made it that much harder. I would go to the hospital sometimes at night just to skip, and just save time. But point is, I had to figure it out. It turned out to be like an turmeric coconut oil fixed it. Yeah, turmeric and coconut oil. What like together you could go and get, it's like what, $8 together? Or no, like $10. So it's like, was this bad luck? Was this a really bad circumstance? Yeah, I mean, at the time, but I just carried on with it like it was nothing. Like, I didn't even talk about it to certain people. It was funny. I was actually dating a girl, I was dating a girl at the time, and I showed her. I'm like, look at this. She's like, oh, wow. I showed her the picture, and then I showed her. But so I had actually went out before. It was funny. Before I went to the hospital this one night, and I was going to go at night, so that way I didn't have to wait a lot. I had actually went on like a catch-up / date with this realtor. And it was just funny, like, at the time, like, I'm just like, now, she was giving me these cues, like, oh, what are you doing after? And then, like, damn, snoozing. I'm over here like, oh, I'm going to the hospital. So it's like, I just went off, what I'm trying to say, I just went on by my day, but it was painful. And it's like, it was a $10 remedy. So was it really bad luck? Was it really, like, a huge, like, setback? I mean, now I know how to fix it. If it happens, like, my son had one on his ass. I mean, on his butt cheek. He literally had one on his ass. And we put some turmeric, coconut oil, and I think sea salt, and it went away. And it's like, yeah, that must have been like a really bad thing, and it caused other bad things to go wrong in my life. But was it bad luck? Was it this like thing that was it? Why me? Look, like, no. It actually, now that I think about it, it was prone to happen. It was stemmed back even from before. Like, like you could eat a cheeseburger today, maybe a cookie, and it's not gonna do you as bad if you eat it once a week, once or twice. But it's over a period of time of you eating a certain way, whether that's good or bad, that's gonna end up putting you in that position later. And that's why sometimes people, they develop the health complications way later because of all the years. And what I'm trying to say is, like, I've had certain symptoms in the past that I kind of just ignored. I didn't think anything. I was like, whatever, just, pop a heartburn pill, take this, blah, 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 go on by the way, and it's like that caught up. Like, there was bad bacteria in my small intestine for a long time, or more of it than the good. Sometimes, depending on what I was eating and whatnot, it was like, it would probably imbalance up and back and down. So point is, like, things take time to go wrong sometimes. They don't happen right away. And it's your perception of that. Was that good or bad? For me, shit, it was great. Now I know. If I ever come across somebody who's dealing with that, I could share it and help them get rid of it quick. Some of these doctors don't even, like, not that I'm not, trying to sound negative in any way or form, but they were giving me antibiotics. Only one of them's like, hey, I can't say too much, but look at this article. I'm like, what? Look at the, Manuka honey might help. And it's like she almost like whispered it, like, really? Like, what? So it's like, sometimes you got to figure it out, and everybody's body's different, so was that good or bad? Another situation right here, like, maybe I'll do like 2 or 3 more, like, so I had went to this concert, and I didn't talk too much about this, but basically, all right, I had came out at this concert. I didn't know what time it was going to end, right? I could have stood in the place I was staying at. I could have read a text on my phone. I could have went in my car and, like, started playing with something, like, by the gear, or, like, started looking for something, wasted, like, 5 minutes, or just read an article, wasted another 10 minutes. But instead, I came outside, and it just so happened that when I came outside, the concert ended, and there were storms of people across the street. And when you go to an indie rock concert, the demographic of people is probably going to be different than going to a Chief Keef or Waka Flocka concert. Wouldn't you agree? So it's like this was a Twista and like a little boozy one or something like that. And like, so yeah, there was some cool peeps there, but there was also groups of gang and people like that looked like they were gonna do some they were gonna do some stuff. They were just prone to, like, some shit was gonna go down if people bump heads. So I came out and I'm like, oh great, people are swarming the concert, going in different directions. And at this point I'm like, oh, I'm not going back to where I was staying, like, because I mean it was kind of close to the venue. Like, first off, I don't even want people to see where I'm going back, and now I'm out. So I just stayed out, ended up like just staying out, went to this bar. This girl's like, she's walking out. I'm like, hey, how is this bar? Like, is it cool? It's like, oh, well, it's a gay bar. And then she laughed at me like, ha, I see why you're going in. I'm like, I'm like, nah, Like, nah. Well, thanks for telling me, but I'm going to another one. But it's like, I had actually came across another person that I had met at that concert, and you know, she came outside. She's like, "Oh, what up?" I'm like, "Oh shit, what up?" And like, she's like, "Oh, you know, let's go to the after party. Like, you know, it's I think it was like, I don't know, 11 at night, 11:30. It's like, oh, it's, you know, it was like up to 2 a.m. The after party was gonna go on to 2 a.m. Right? So she's like, "Oh, let's go. You know, this and this." And she had a couple of friends with her too. And like I think like 2 girlfriends, a guy. She's like, "Oh, let's go." And she was cool peeps. And or she seemed, I don't know her. I met her that same day. But she's like, "Oh, let's go. Come on, let's go." And then I'm like, I thought about it. I'm like, "I'll let you know." But in my head, so I could think about it. And I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, you know, if I go to that place, it'll be cool, right? You know, I may meet somebody great. I may actually meet somebody in the music field, you know, or somebody that like, you know, really cool peeps. You know, you just never know who you're gonna meet. Or you could go there, you know, more drinks with the wrong crowd, more you stack up the odds of something going wrong. You know, and then so whether I go there or not, is it good or bad? I mean, I could meet something great, and then what if something pops off? It's just bound to happen sometimes. You know, and then I looked at where it was like 15 minutes away, and then there was like nothing around there, and I'm like, I'm good. Like, I just decided not to because I didn't want to wake up so late either. But I was just like, nah, I'm good. Like, I was almost gonna go, but it's like, was that good or bad? I mean, I made the decision not to. You know, I could have went, and it could have been, I don't know what would have happened. So, and even with the concert thing, I came out at the wrong time. Nothing happened, but something could have went off right there too. People yelling, people screaming, you know, gang, you know, some people had shags. Like, it was just, like, I'm telling you, like, and I came out right there. It just came out with the crowd and not even knowing. I didn't know what time. I just happened to come out. I'm like, oh, wow. I'm like, wow. And I couldn't really see. I couldn't look out the window and see, you know, just the way the apartment was, you know. It was, yeah, anyway, or the Airbnb, I should say. So it's like another situation, like I went to this concert a while back, and I'm talking about concerts, but I went to this concert a while back with my ex and her sister, and it was actually her, I think like 2 of her brothers, and then another friend, and it was an EDM concert, you know, and people were gonna be off the shits too. Some of them were gonna be off the shits. I think I was a little buzzing, and we had went, and it was a good time and everything, and like, it's funny. Some dude was like, everybody was, you know, like kind of raving a little bit, and I mean, they were playing some dubstep too. This dude was like, he started to like start like a mosh thing, you know, and it was like cool, whatever, and I was kind of close to it, and it got to a point where, like, you know, I think I got shoved a little bit, and then I pushed a little bit, and it was cool, like shoving. I was going along with it, but then he looked at me, and he pushed me really hard. It was like intentional, you know. It was like he looked at me, and then he like pushed the shit out of me. Like I ended up like, I'm a bit skinnier now because of the health issues and stuff. But like at the time, I wasn't even like that skinny. Like he pushed, like I felt like a foot and a half back. I think I ended up hitting somebody too, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, so like I was like, whatever, you know. I was like, whatever. Regardless if I was under the influence or not, that wasn't, you know, I think I was drinking a little bit, but like we kept going, and then this time I did intentionally push him. I looked and I shoved him really hard. I shoved him like with my shoulder really hard, and then once again he looked at me and he pushed me, and then I said, what the fuck, like, let's go outside then. I kind of went overboard. I don't know, I got into a couple fights in the past, and I'm like fight or flight, you know, and I've worked on that. Like, usually people have started it with me, but this time I handled this situation wrong. You know, I said, what the fuck? And then I realized he had 3 guys. I realized he had 3 guys. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get scraped right here. Like, look at me. And then I'm like, well, hey, like, what's up? What's your problem? Like, is this just for fun or is it good? After I had said that, and he's like, nah, all right, cool. Like, we ended up just talking, and it was cool. And I remember like I don't know, I didn't get my ex involved. Like, I didn't get no one involved, like her brothers. Like, I wasn't trying to, like, you know, ruin shit either. Like, we were all having a good time, but that happened like in a split, like 5-6 seconds. I was like, let's go outside. And then they were gonna, like, he was already, yeah, let's go. And then after we talked a little bit, you know, I was gonna walk. I was gonna go to the bathroom. You know, I was gonna use the bathroom. And then there were 3 other dudes were there, like him and no, it was like him and 2 guys were there, like by the bathroom, and he like gave me a look, and I was like, oh, here it goes. Like I went to the bathroom, I'm like, all right, I don't know. I just kept watching my back. I was like, ugh, I don't know if it's gonna go down or whatever. Like whatever happens, like whatever at this point, because I'm the one that handled it wrong, you know. And nothing happened, you know. And then I still expected it outside. I thought they were gonna like catch me outside. Catch me outside. How about that? I thought he was gonna catch me outside, and I think I have like a gun in the car too, but I didn't have it on me. And it's like, you know, he's like went outside and nothing, like everything was cool. So hey, look it, I handled this situation wrong. Nothing happened. And sometimes it could be vice versa. Someone starts up with you, and then you might end up be the one that, you know, it's like you don't know what's gonna happen in these circumstances. But at the end of the day, good or bad, you have to look at it. Take, you know, good. If it's good, great. You had a great time. If it's bad, what you learn from it? How'd you screw up? Did you screw up? You know, learn a lesson from it, as opposed to being like, oh, I always have bad luck. I always this and this. Most of the time, it's just a circumstance that happens that sometimes you can't control. You can't. Not at the time. I mean, you could best. And then sometimes I might say like, oh, I'm going to react a certain way now. And then you just don't know how you're going to react when it happens, because you might be in a different mood. I could say something right now, and then, you know, in 4 or 5 weeks when something does go down, I'm in a whole different mood. I mean, if I wake you up from a really bad dream versus waking you up from a calm dream, you could tell me, oh, I'm always like, you could wake me up and I'm never going to get scared, and you're going to react differently. So it's like at the end of the day, it's like, hey, just take, you know, try to learn from whatever happened and try to place a good, if it's for your good health and well-being, then your perception of it, place a positive one onto it, you know, even if it was bad. Like, damn, you know, I had this bad happen. Well, guess what? I learned this from it. Something good came out of it, you know. And another one, I got into it's an incident some other day, and dude just came out, and he came out like if something was gonna go down to him. Like, oh, here we go, like, get ready. Like, I don't know. The way he came out of the car, I'm like, oh. And he came out, and then he just walked over, and I'm all like, you know, hey man, we should handle this like this, you know, like, hey, we'll do it under the table. Like, look, you're good, look, let's call it even. And then he was about to, and he's like, no, he's like, we're gonna do this the right way, this and this. All right, cool. You know, right there, you know, could have been a big argument, could have this and that. No, instead, like, we were talking cool, we became cool, started talking about work, what he does, what I do, blah, 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 this and this, the economy, this and this. And guess what? We became cool. He told me where he lives by, this and this, and, like, you know, it became cool. Like, and it's like the way it was handled, you know. And I actually have to go to court. He doesn't, or I don't. It's optional for him. For me, it's mandatory. But now that I became cool, even the police officer's like, he's not going to court. And I think that's, you know, I talked to him too. I wasn't like, we weren't a dick to each other. It could have been worse. I mean, it was morning. It was before work. I mean, that, you know, like, before work, it's like, to think about that, you know. I mean, for some people, like, that's just, you know, rage, right? Like, so it was like, it could have been a lot worse. And, you know, I mean, yeah, it could have been worse. And it's just funny, like, I'm gonna share this, like, this has nothing to do with it, but before, like, the police officer before the police officer went to go talk to him, he asked me, like, he's like, all right, so were you behind him or were you weren't? He's like, well, before you, I asked for his story. If you were behind him, you're not at guilt. And it's like, I was like, wow. Like, he just told me, like, what to say. He basically told me, like, how to not. Yeah, it's just funny. I think you get it. But he basically told me, like, how to defend myself. I'm like, look, officer, we turned at the same time. I don't know. But even the police officer was cool, you know? Like, even in a, like, I don't know. It's like, you just don't know. And he was like, the police officer, like I said, if I could have been an asshole to him, he would have been. But he told me, because he perceived, like, I was cool, you know. I was being, like, you know, I was just being polite, just quiet. And he told me that before he even went to talk to the guy. And like, you know, guys, like, the way you handle certain situations, just try to handle them correctly. Sometimes you may act more foolishly than others. But realize that though. That's the key, to realize it later. Like, oh, you know what? I did say something stupid. I did say something foolish, and that might have contributed to the bad circumstance or not. Or how can I better take this in the future, and the best you can, because you can't predict your behavior. You could train yourself, of course, right? To behave and react certain ways to certain things, and if you're prone to like deal with it more, then yeah, you're gonna be, you're gonna handle certain things, everyone's gonna handle certain situations better and some worse depending on what it is than everyone else, right? It's just that's just the way it is. And hopefully the other person, it's not too hotheads, but we could all be sometimes, I've, sometimes like, yeah, but I guess the gist of the story, I'm just sharing this with you to let you know, like, sometimes don't take things too personal. Circumstances happen, and they're gonna happen whether you're this, you're that. Doesn't matter your experience of things, how smart this or that you are, like, things are gonna happen, and like, just try to add a good perception, yeah, to it. It's not always all bad. And I mean, it's not always all good. So I hope that you learned something. You just have a great day. Take it easy.